Ian Lindsay of Lindsay and Associates has played an active role in the local community since 1979. He has been with RE/MAX, Vancouver Island's most advanced real estate business network since 1996, marketing and selling residential, rural, strata, recreational, investment and project development real estate. Ian has received several awards recognizing his exceptional community commitment locally, as well as awards for outstanding performance and achievement from both RE/MAX International and the Vancouver Island Real Estate Board. You'll find true real estate professionals at ianlindsay.ca.
Here come Peter, here comes Dave. Oh, listen. Bringing stories, making waves, no missing. Spinning tales in the podcast cave, so sweet. Laughs and insights everywhere, what a treat. Peter and Dave, they're on the mics, all right. Join the ride, it's gonna feel just right.
Hello, we're glad you could join us. This is the Pulse Community Podcast coming to you from Canada's left coast. We're all about the people and stories of mid-Vancouver Island. One of those islanders is my co-host. It's Dave Graham.
Well, hello. Yes, I am one of the Daves you know, and I am glad to be here doing this right at this moment with my pal, the man with a plan, but his name isn't Stan. It's Peter McCulley.
What's going on, Dave?
Well, you know how when it comes down to the crunch, all we have in our lives is this moment?
Okay.
Well, I'm saying the world's a crazy place. We humans are a chaotic bunch, and it can all be a bit much.
Uh-huh.
So I'm taking this as a reminder to maybe spend a little less time following world events and other things beyond my control and focus instead on my immediate surroundings right here, right now, in this moment. And you know what? There's much to celebrate. Okay, maybe I won't be able to fit into my Speedo this summer, but I have my health. That's what I have at this moment, and it is good.
Well, something else we have at this moment is a podcast to do.
Okay, yeah. I see I have something I'm supposed to read in this moment. It goes a little like this. On this edition, we'll chat with Sean Wood, Parksville City Councillor and a member of the Nanaimo Regional Hospital District Board. And he'll be talking about the planned expansion of the Nanaimo Regional Hospital.
The BC NDP, BC United, BC Conservatives made public promises during the 2024 election to move forward with the patient tower and the cath lab in Nanaimo. That kind of cross-party support is rare, and it shows the broad recognition of just how essential this project is. And then, of course, March came, and the project was nowhere to be found in the provincial budget. It is disappointing. People heard the promises. They voted based on them, and now they're watching the clock tick-tock while the need only grows.
Janelle Van Dongen of Nanaimo recently participated in the Forum for Young Canadians in Ottawa. Only about 100 young people get to take part. Janelle's very enthusiastic about the democratic process.
I think about what democracy means, and it is defined as power of the people. And we are those people. I like to think about, too, how every level of government is our government because it is power of the people. So it is our people's government. And that's why it's so important for us to all participate in democracy in some way, whether that's at the forefront as putting our name forward to run for a position, or whether that's behind the scenes, working the polls, or working for a non-governmental organization that still makes things happen, or if just showing up as voters and making sure that our voice is heard, because we cannot have a government, we cannot have a democracy without the people participating in it.
Dave, I just heard something that's going to make your summer way better than your usual Netflix binge.
Oh, yeah? Does it involve leaving my couch?
Unfortunately, yes, but trust me on this one. Parksville Beach Festival is coming July 11th with world-class sand sculptors, epic concerts, and...
Wait, did you say sand sculptors, like professional sandcastle builders?
Way cooler than that. This year's theme is Circus by the Sea. Imagine spectacular sand masterpieces blending circus magic with ocean beauty. The grand opening is July 12th at 2, and Canadian rock legends Chilliwack kick off the festivities that very same evening.
Chilliwack. Now you got my attention. When do tickets go on sale?
They're on sale now, Dave. Don't miss more than 5 weeks of family fun, music, and incredible art.
Parksville Beach Festival, where summer magic begins, and I will finally leave my couch.
Details at parksvillebeachfest.ca.
Oceanside Seaweed. That little pot shop is Parksville's first licensed cannabis store. Since April 2022, Seaweed is under new ownership. With a product expert at the helm, that includes 2 decades of retail mastery and 7 years in the cannabis industry, Seaweed is a legacy in the making, with cannabis products regulated by Health Canada. Community-minded Seaweed is a member of the Parksville Chamber of Commerce, the Parksville Downtown Business Association, and the Retail Cannabis Council of British Columbia. Those 19-plus can drop by the store at 154 Middleton Avenue next to Tablet Pharmacy. Open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Weekends and holidays, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Visit the online store at seaweedoceanside.ca.
The Pulse Community Podcast is brought to you in part by Windsor Plywood in French Creek, specializing in hard-to-source interior and exterior home finishing products, including flooring, doors, and moldings, and exterior project materials such as yellow cedar. Windsor Plywood French Creek carries high-quality, responsibly sourced products and are committed to providing outstanding value and personalized, one-on-one service to all of our customers, homeowners, do-it-yourselfers, renovators, builders, designers, craftsmen, and contractors. Regardless of the type or size of your project, Windsor can help you bring your vision to life from start to finish. Let Windsor Plywood in French Creek help you with your renovation, new build, or building project. Visit them online or call 752-3122.
If you would like a weekly email reminder of the latest Pulse podcasts and contests, just head over to thepulsecommunity.ca, click on the contact link. It's one less thing to have to think about, allowing you to spend more time in the moment.
We had some fun moments recently, getting out to talk to folks about summer, and we'll be featuring some of those comments we heard in an upcoming summertime special. We're assembling a summer music playlist that we hope you'll enjoy.
Yes, we have some fabulous summertime songs, and it will be fun to hear some of the comments we gathered the other day. There was one fellow, had one of the best summer jobs I think I'd ever heard about, working at a carnival with all the rides and the food. Oh, carnival food. You don't see a lot of salad bars at carnivals. So keep an ear open for our summer special. Oh, we also have a follow-up conversation coming with Jordan Shelley about the new Qualicum Beach Healthcare Clinic.
And we have another contest coming up. We'll be giving away a 4-day general admission pass to Sunfest. It kicks off July 31st at Laketown Ranch, just outside of Lake Cowichan.
I was just reading the other day, they have glamping there. Tents you can rent all set up with beds and carpets, and it's all rather civilized. I don't know. As I've grown older, the fun of camping has faded maybe just a little bit. I've grown to appreciate creature comforts like solid walls and the benefits of nearby plumbing fixtures, electricity, all that good stuff.
You can enter to win a 4-day pass to Sunfest now by heading to our website, thepulsecommunity.ca, or visit our Facebook page, The Pulse Community.
Good luck in the draw, July 4th. In this moment, right here and now, we have our first guest at the ready. Here's Marilyn to bring her on.
Janelle Van Dongen is waiting in the green room. Janelle is the founder of 100 Kids for Change and was recently involved in the Forum for Young Canadians, and also served as a deputy returning officer in the federal election.
Thanks for joining us today, Janelle.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Peter. I'm so excited to be back.
I've followed politics since I was a teenager, your age, and I found it quite inspiring, actually, to learn not only did you participate in the Forum for Young Canadians recently, but you also worked the polls in the recent federal election. And, you know, that gave me some hope that there are young people who are engaged and involved and interested in the process. How did you become interested in the democratic process as a teenager?
Well, it's actually funny because I've been interested in politics since I was a kid. My family has always been really interested in politics. I kind of joke sometimes that my family watches elections like other people's family watches sports. That's our Super Bowl, is when election time comes around. One of the first memories that I have of when I found that spark of interest for politics was in grade 3. I was studying government in school. I'm homeschooled as well. So I was studying government in school. The project that I had to complete was I had to go and interview our 3 parliamentary representatives. So I interviewed Gord Johns, who was our MP, Michelle Stillwell, who was our MLA at the time, and Bob Rogers, who was our Area E director. So I interviewed each of them about the work that they do and what their level of government covers and what their daily jobs look like. I still remember the conversations. I was 8 at the time, and it was a really neat experience to get to talk to each of them and see what the different levels of politics cover in it. That was one of the first experiences that I had where I was really drawn to politics and I was interested in learning more about it. And then as a teen, I've been involved in Gord John's Youth Advisory Council. Recently, I took a political studies course as one of my last grade 12 courses, and I absolutely loved it. I wasn't planning to take the course, actually. I was looking at taking some other ones, but they unfortunately weren't offered that year. So I decided, okay, well, I'll take political studies. For a course that I wasn't planning to take, it turned out being a really good fit for me. I absolutely loved it. So I've had interest through my political studies course, of course, working for Elections BC and Elections Canada, and then Forum. All of that has contributed to my interest in politics as a young person. In the course, we get to not only cover Canadian politics, that's the main focus of the course, but we also got to cover Indigenous politics and Indigenous styles of government. I remember a project I did about consensus government. That's kind of the system that they use in the Northwest Territories and in Nunavut for their provincial level of politics. We got to cover global politics as well. I absolutely loved that part of the course. I did a country study project. So I had to find another country in the world and study their government and put together a video about that country's government. So I chose my favorite country, Bhutan. It's a little tiny country just above India, between India and China. It has amazing culture. It's about the same size and population as Vancouver Island as well. I did a whole study in their government and how it works.
So do they have the same style of government where there's like a federal government and then regional and then a local government?
Their system is very similar to what we have here in Canada. There's a few differences, but they still have a two-level system where their head of government is not the same as their head of state. So they have the king, who's the head of state, and then they have their prime minister. So it's a similar system. And they have, similar to our House of Commons and Senate, they have that kind of structure as well. So I just loved learning about it.
What inspired you, Janelle, to serve as a deputy returning officer with Elections Canada, despite not being old enough to actually vote yourself in this recent election?
Well, it was the fact that I was not old enough to vote that made me want to work this election. I missed the election by just a few weeks. So I was really bummed that I couldn't vote this time, but I have worked previously in the provincial election as well. I really enjoyed that experience, and I love just being in the heart of the action and getting to contribute to democracy behind the scenes. The poll workers are what makes the elections happen. That's what makes it possible. So I love being a part of that. And they're really fun too. You meet so many new people, and it's just a great experience to be part of the process.
And it's a long day. It's a 16-hour day, except for a short break. You can't really leave. So what surprised you most about that experience?
I don't think surprised is the word that I would use, but I was really encouraged by the steady stream of voters that we had coming through Manus Place all day. Manus Place was where I was working. In Courtenay, Alberni, which is our riding, we had approximately 73% turnout. In all of Canada, this election, we had 68.7% turnout, which is the highest it's been in 30 years. So that was super encouraging to see that people are coming out to vote, because I keep thinking, there is a ballot there waiting for you. It is waiting for you to come and mark it. It's really important for me. Make your voice heard, because you don't want other people to speak for you. So that was really encouraging to see that a lot of people were going out there and making it happen.
You participated in the Forum for Young Canadians National Summit, one of only 107 students from across the country. Could you tell our listeners exactly what that is and how you got picked to participate?
So the Forum for Young Canadians National Summit is a week-long youth summit in Ottawa hosted by the Rideau Hall Foundation. I like to describe it as a formal summer camp without the summer because it's March in Ottawa, so it is a little bit cold, but fun nonetheless. It's for youth ages 14 to 18 from across Canada who are interested in Canadian politics. Across the 5 days of the program, we got to tour the House of Commons, the Senate, the Supreme Court, or Rideau Hall, depending on which group you were in. We got to hear from speakers and panelists and participate in simulations. There is an application process to attend the program, and mostly it's based on your written responses to some prompts relating to forum. It was really special for me because there is a fee for the program, and through my work at the Rotary Bottle Drop on Saturdays, I earn an honorarium for working. And sometimes that honorarium can be put towards things like going to build homes in Mexico. But I approached Rotary and said, oh, there's this opportunity for me to go to Ottawa and to study politics with a whole bunch of other youth at this summit. And I wanted to know if my honorarium could cover the cost of attending. And my honorarium covered the entire $1,000 cost, which is absolutely incredible. I will always say thank you so much, Rotary, because they've done amazing work in the community and they make it possible for me and other youth to do things like this, which is really cool.
During the forum simulation, Janelle, you were elected to the Ministry of Finance. What did you learn about the governmental budget processes through the role?
Yeah, so I joined the Ministry of Finance representing the Ministry of International Affairs. Our team of 108 youth were split up into these different ministries. We had the option to join 6 different ministries. And so I chose International Affairs, my favorite ministry. I was then elected to join the Ministry of Finance. And in the Ministry of Finance, we were tasked with creating a budget. So we had 24 priorities that were collected from all of the 6 ministries. Each one gave us 4 different priorities that they wanted to see in the budget. We had to choose 3. Needless to say, it was a very interesting experience. The thing I learned most about the budgeting process in federal politics is we see the final product. We don't see the negotiations and the arguing and the collaboration that happens behind the scenes. And it is really complicated to try to synthesize those 24 priorities, pick out the ones that we are going to focus on, and find creative solutions to make sure that everybody has something in the budget that makes them happy. It felt like we were getting bombarded by all of the other ministries who were coming over and saying, we would like this thing in the budget, we would like this, we would like that. And so it requires a lot of collaboration between the different ministries to ensure that everybody has their needs met in a budget that cannot have absolutely every priority met. It taught me a lot about what goes on behind the scenes, that there is so much more to budgets and any government decision than just what's presented on the news. There is a lot of teamwork and creative thinking and a little bit of arguing as well that goes on behind the scenes.
And of course, in the real world, the last 4 or 5 years, priorities change on a dime. So yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Janelle, you said in one of your social media posts that I was reading, democracy is only as good as the people who choose to participate in it. So how has your participation in both the Elections Canada and the Forum changed your perspective on civic engagement?
I think it solidified my belief that we need all people participating in a democracy. I think about what democracy means, and it is defined as power of the people. And we are those people. I like to think about, too, how every level of government is our government because it is power of the people. So it is our people's government. And that's why it's so important for us to all participate in democracy in some way, whether that's at the forefront as putting our name forward to run for a position, or whether that's behind the scenes, working the polls, or working for a non-governmental organization that still makes things happen, or just showing up as voters and making sure that our voice is heard, because we cannot have a government, we cannot have a democracy without the people participating in it. So yes, we need all people participating in a democracy.
One thing I noticed was the forum had elected some guy named Keanu Reeves as prime minister. What was the process like to get Keanu elected as prime minister? And what qualities do you think made him a chosen candidate? Were they like John Wick type qualities? And who were the other choices?
We had our election simulation that was a huge part of the whole forum experience. And so all 108 students were split up into 11 different teams. And so each team had to put forward a candidate that could be any Canadian over the age of 18. I believe they said it could be living or dead. We had one forum attendee per group represent that candidate on the forum stage. So we started out with 11 candidates, and through the process, throughout the week, that was whittled down. The 4 candidates that we were finally left with were Keanu Reeves, Justin Bieber, Terry Fox, and Tate McRae. It worked exactly like a real election. So each party had to come up with a platform. They had to put forward a campaign. They had to form coalitions with other parties. And then we finally had the opportunity to vote on which candidate we would like to be elected to the Prime Minister of Forum. I think Keanu had a very strong platform. It's funny that you mentioned John Wick. That was what the platform, I believe, was built on. I think they were going to take care of animals, a dog shelter, I think, because of John Wick's puppy and the story that happens there. They had a very strong platform, and they had a great Canada representative. I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I personally was from the Justin Bieber party, one of the 2 Justin Bieber parties. And so I think it was a little unfair advantage. But no, it was still quite a tight race, I would say. There was no clear winner defined throughout the week. We really didn't know what was going to happen until the election time came. Our team formed a coalition with the Tate McRae party in an attempt to be strategic with our coalitions. Honestly, there was no party that didn't do well.
Sounds like you're learning all the angles. Having seen democracy from behind the scenes, what aspect of the electoral system, Janelle, do you think most Canadians misunderstand or maybe not even aware of?
This one, for sure, I think is the difference between the municipal, provincial, and federal levels of government. They're similar in many ways. They have similar systems, but they are different in their jurisdiction, in their parties, in the way that their elections work. And it's important for people to understand the differences between municipal, provincial, and federal levels of government so they know who to go to when they have a certain problem. I remember speaking about this with the representatives and how it is difficult for them when somebody comes to them with a problem and they have to say, we can't help you. That's not in our jurisdiction. That's not what we work with. You have to go down the street and talk to that person and they will be able to help you out. So it's really important to understand the differences between each of the levels so that you know who you are voting for in an election. You know what the parties are and what they represent. They can be very similar, but they can also have some differences between specifically federal and provincial parties. I completely understand. It can get quite confusing when you have all of these different levels of government and they seem to have overlap in some areas, but then they're totally different in others. So just knowing those differences is a great way to become a more informed voter.
Has working with Elections Canada and participating in the forum influenced your future educational or career aspirations or choices?
Yes, all of that has had a huge impact on what I think I want to continue pursuing. So I am looking at taking political studies or international studies in Ottawa in 2026, which I am super excited about. There's a whole process that comes with that as well, of figuring out what programs and universities I'm applying. And then from there, I'm not entirely sure where it will take me. I'm currently thinking somewhere around diplomacy or civic education or journalism. Those are all potential career pathways. I'm particularly passionate about civic education and helping other people understand the systems that are behind our government and to help other people feel empowered and inspired, because this is, like I mentioned, this is our government. It is the government of our people. And so we all want to play a role in that. So yes, that's my current plans. Those are subject to change at any time.
If you could implement any change or make the democratic process more accessible or engaging for young people, what do you think that might be?
I think for me, the key is educating and engaging those young up and coming voters that we have. I'm really excited because tonight is 100 Kids May meeting, and we are going to be having an election like we do every meeting. So our members learn how to participate in the democratic process because they vote on the charity they would like 100 Kids to support by secret ballot. And so they, out of the options that are given, they each get to vote. And it's neat because we've had some really tight races in the past between different charities. And it really illustrates how every vote matters. Even if you don't think it does, it matters because you never know when there's going to be that tight race, like one that we've just had in the federal election. I can't remember exactly where the riding was, but there was one vote separating the winning candidate. So every vote matters. And so I'm teaching youth early on that this is their government and it is important for them to participate in it. I want to bring that to more young people so that we can help raise educated and engaged voters.
Well, Janelle, personally, I will look forward to seeing your name on a ballot someday. And if you ever bottle that enthusiasm, let me know because I'd like to buy a case.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Janelle Van Dongen, we are fortunate to have such an extraordinary person in our midst, and the fact that she's not yet an adult is all the more impressive.
Here at the Pulse Community Podcast, we provide for the younger ones with our Skookum Kid Stories. That includes the Mellow Submarine with Captain Dave and his first mate, Larry the Lobster. In their latest story, they get to see another famous watercraft, the SS Minnow of Gilligan's Island fame. Be listening for the Mellow Submarine, a 3-hour tour of the SS Minnow, narrated by Dave Graham.
Peter McCulley narrates our other offering for the kids, Gracie the Eskimo Dog. In the latest episode, Gracie and her human companion, Peter, visit the Deep Bay Marine Field Station. Our growing collections of stories can be found at thepulsecommunity.ca. Also, skookumkids.com, plus Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Buzzsprout, Amazon, and YouTube. Oh, if you're interested in joining our growing family of sponsors for the Pulse Community and Skookum Kids Stories, let us know. Email Peter at thepulsecommunity.ca.
Ian Lindsay of Lindsay and Associates has played an active role in the local community since 1979. He has been with RE/MAX, Vancouver Island's most advanced real estate business network, since 1996. Marketing and selling residential, rural, strata, recreational, investment, and project development real estate. Ian has received several awards recognizing his exceptional community commitment locally, as well as awards for outstanding performance and achievement from both RE/MAX International and the Vancouver Island Real Estate Board. You'll find true real estate professionals at ianlindsay.ca.
Get ready to be amazed. The Parksville Beach Festival is just weeks away, bringing world-class sand sculptors, epic concerts, and unforgettable memories to beautiful Parksville Beach. This year's theme is Circus by the Sea. Imagine spectacular sand masterpieces blending circus magic with ocean beauty. Mark July 12th on your calendar for the grand opening with ribbon cutting at 2 p.m. Canadian rock legends Chilliwack kick off the festivities that same evening with their Farewell to Friends tour. Tickets are on sale now. Don't miss weeks of family fun, music, and incredible art. Parksville Beach Festival, where summer magic begins. Visit parksvillebeachfest.ca.
Our thanks to the Parksville Beach Festival Society for their support of the Pulse Community Podcast. Oh, I am so looking forward to my annual gig playing music at Beach Fest for the sand sculpting competition. They have a new location in the park now. It's next to the volleyball field. I was talking recently with event manager Christy. Everybody is super excited by this change. It's going to be quite spectacular. But that's coming up. This is now. It's time again for another guest. Marilyn, if you please.
Sean Wood is a Parksville City Councillor, elected in 2022 to Parksville Council and appointed 2022 to the Regional District of Nanaimo Board of Directors. He is a member of the board of the Union of British Columbia Municipalities and was appointed to Federation of Canadian Municipalities committees. Sean is also a small business owner and served 5 years as a volunteer firefighter for the city of Parksville.
Sean, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Peter. I appreciate it.
As a councillor in the city of Parksville and a member of the board of the RDN, the Regional District of Nanaimo, you serve another role as a member of the Nanaimo Regional Hospital District Board of Directors.
That's correct. The RDN has a separate body, a kind of a separate financial body, and all the regional districts have these as well in their hospital boards that represent the major capital projects in that regional district.
Now, during the 2024 provincial election campaign, the major parties committed to a new patient tower, a cardiac lab, and a diagnostic center in Nanaimo at the regional hospital. And that puts you in a unique position to talk to our listeners about the needs of islanders, the scope of the project, and impact on taxes.
We have two remaining asks from the province right now, and one is a catheterization lab and the other is a patient tower. Total costs of all of our asks are about $1.8 billion. And we're not asking for anything out of the ordinary. This NRGH, Nanaimo Regional General Hospital, is a designated tertiary care center. It's long overdue. I believe the NRGH currently is 60 years old. We are seeing some progress on some projects, but we are still advocating for a patient tower and a cath lab.
Sean, can you paint a picture for our listeners about what it means for someone in Nanaimo or Comox or Port Alberni to have a heart attack today? Walk us through the patient's journey.
I didn't go to medical school. My wife is an RN, so I can bug her for some answers occasionally. And so I'm going to do my best on the technical side of things. But from my understanding, Peter, if someone in Nanaimo or Comox or Port Alberni has a serious heart attack, it's what doctors call a STEMI. Every minute counts. The best treatment is something called a primary PCI, which is angioplasty and stenting, where doctors open the blocked artery, restore blood flow fast, the gold standard across DC and Canada. But there's a catch. There's no catheterization lab north of the Malahat. Victoria has their own services, but even though we're a designated tertiary care center in Nanaimo, we do not have one. And that means for thousands of islanders north of the Malahat, the first step is usually a drug called a thrombolytic, which is a clot buster that buys you some time. It's not the best fix, but it's all that community hospitals can do in the moment. And even after the drug, you still need follow-up care at a cath lab, ideally within 3 to 24 hours. So on Vancouver Island, it often means waiting for a medevac helicopter or an airplane, hoping weather and hospital capacity allow for a quick transfer, or traveling to Victoria or even Vancouver. Meanwhile, your heart muscle is dying. So the thrombolytics buy you time, but they don't replace proper care. So that's why we're in desperate need of a cath lab in Nanaimo.
We're seeing some progress on some fronts. The new ICU unit, there's a coming cancer center, new urgent care center. So how do those pieces fit together with the patient tower and the cath lab you're talking about?
Peter, we are seeing progress at NRGH, and that's worth recognizing. The new ICU is a critical upgrade. It means more capacity, better infection control, and modern equipment for our sickest patients. The urgent care center will help take pressure off the ER, and the cancer center is a long overdue step towards providing treatment close to home for thousands of island residents. But these upgrades are just part of a bigger puzzle. The patient tower and the cath lab are what tie everything together. Right now, NRGH is trying to operate as the island's tertiary care hospital north of the Malahat, handling everything from trauma to complex medical and surgical cases. But it's doing so without the full infrastructure it needs. There's no cath lab, the patient care spaces are outdated and far, far over capacity. Every week we transfer patients to Victoria or Vancouver just to get the kind of care that should be available here. The new patient tower would modernize the core of the hospital. It would have new inpatient ward, surgical units, expanded diagnostic imaging, and a layout that works for 21st century healthcare. Together, these projects turn NRGH from a stretched regional hospital into a true tertiary care center, one that can handle the current population as well as the growth that is coming and being asked for from both the provincial and the federal levels.
Sean, let's talk about the price tag. I heard you mention $1.8 billion. I understand that's over 8 to 10 years. How does that compare with other major hospital projects that are lined up in British Columbia? And what are the reactions from the various communities in the Nanaimo catchment area in regards to potential tax increases?
Infrastructure costs, Peter, are going through the roof all over the province and the country. Even 10 years ago, $1.8 billion sounds exorbitant, but it is par for the course these days. The new St. Paul's Hospital in Vancouver is pegged at $2.2 billion. The Royal Columbian Hospital redevelopment costing $1.49 billion. Surrey's new hospital is budgeted at $2.88 billion. You know, the NRGH upgrades they're talking about for $1.8 billion, well, obviously they'll serve Port Alberni, Parksville, Qualicum Beach, Lanceville, Gabriola, Gulf Islands, all the way up to Port Hardy. And again, Peter, I want to emphasize that there's a greater population north of the Malahat than south of the Malahat. Really, that's what this regional district is tasked with, collecting the property taxes is 40% of that $1.8 billion. It works out to about $600 million is what we are being asked by the province and Island Health to do our fair share. You know, we get pushed back on a variety of things from taxpayer groups, and sometimes it's a worthwhile pushback. But honestly, the people that I have spoken to, they understand that this is the system that we have. We'd love to see other regional districts chip in financially, but really the most we can ask them for is letters of support. And we have all of those letters of support from other regional districts. So we are doing more than our share of advocacy and raising the money that we need to show the province and Island Health that we're willing to do the work to get what our communities deserve and are asking for. If you've spent any time in NRGH, you know it's desperately needed. And we really don't get any pushback from any of the taxpayers about this, for sure.
Well, those major parties made promises during the 2024 election, and the projects were not included in the March provincial budget. How should voters interpret that?
The BC NDP, BC United, BC Conservatives made public promises during the 2024 election to move forward with the patient tower and the cath lab in Nanaimo. That kind of cross-party support is rare, and it shows the broad recognition of just how essential this project is. And then, of course, March came and the project was nowhere to be found in the provincial budget. It is disappointing. People heard the promises. They voted based on them, and now they're watching the clock tick-tock while the need only grows. It raises fair questions about trust, follow-through, and priorities, but we don't get projects built by burning bridges. Keeping pressure on doesn't mean going to war. It means staying visible, staying united, staying firm, reminding the province of the promises it made, showing our communities from Parksville to Port Hardy that we're aligned and organized, demonstrating that local governments are prepared to do their part financially, and inviting, not attacking, the province to step into the leadership role that's expected of them.
Sean, BC is facing healthcare challenges province-wide. How do we balance the urgent needs in different regions?
I've been elected, Peter, in the city of Parksville and appointed to the regional district of Nanaimo. I like David Eby. I think he's a smart, compassionate guy. He has to juggle a lot of asks, especially on the healthcare side of things. I'd like to see the province get some revenue coming in so they can pay for the need that they know they want to pay for. Right now, we see the province has about a $14 billion deficit. We see them starting to try to fast track projects that will be better for BC's economy so that they can pay for these things. You know, they're taking some heat for bills 14 and 15, which will help them expedite these projects, say mining or other infrastructure projects. And that is for David Eby and his government to balance those. I can only advocate for what I've been elected to. They have difficult decisions down in Victoria. I seal for them, but we're going to continue to press here in Parksville and the RDN for our asks. It's for them to balance, and we're just going to be loud about the things that our constituents need us here.
Well, speaking of that, we've seen many smaller communities throughout the province over the last few years promote themselves to help hire healthcare professionals. What role do you think the local communities should or maybe even need to play in advocating for funding and their healthcare infrastructure?
Peter, we've especially seen the Colwood model, which is quite interesting. From my understanding, the Colwood model, the city hires the doctors as staff. And if you are fresh out of med school and you want to open a primary care practice, the last thing you want to be doing is running a business. We've heard this for years, that doctors out of school don't want to run a business. They'd like to be maybe a hospital doctor. But for walk-in clinics or primary care centers, they want a salary. They don't want to run a business. If a municipality hires a doctor, that's exactly what fits their needs. They might get a municipal pension plan out of it. They get a salary, and then the municipality in turn bills Island Health, for instance, on the island to pay all those bills. And so the Colwood model could work really well. And I can't say that the city of Parksville is not looking at that. But one thing to keep in mind is that the GPs that already have their own businesses, they've gone through the trouble of doing it. We don't want to cannibalize them from their existing clinics if they see a better model across the street where they get a pension plan and they don't have to run their own business. The Colwood model is in early stages. There are a lot of people watching it. I think the province loves it because it kind of takes a little bit of responsibility off of them and hands it off to the local governments. And this is not the only area where we see something like that happening. But the Colwood model for primary care clinics is definitely on the radar, yeah.
If we fast forward 10 years and the projects in Nanaimo are complete, how will healthcare delivery be different for Central Island residents?
It's a really good question, Peter. And the first thing I wanted to mention is the baby boomers. You know, as boomers retire out of the workforce, and then they might need more healthcare, as we all do when we get older, that can put a lot of stress on the system. And I think that's really what we're starting to see now. In 10 years, there may be less stress on the healthcare system and maybe more workforce. So it's a little bit tricky to see down the road. Specifically for NRGH, if we saw these completed, even though our population is growing, I think we could see that care is much better delivered with a patient tower, cath lab, and allowing NRGH to be the tertiary care center that it is designated by Island Health and the province already. So you're going to have better outcomes, less stress on medical staff, facilities, and patients. And so it's desperately needed. And I'd love to see that in 10 years. And it is not going to be a short project. Once we get the go-ahead from the province and from Island Health and shovels in the ground, it is going to be a big one. And it could be 10 years from shovels in the ground when it opens. So your 10-year projection question isn't off base for sure.
If you were advising the provincial government today, somebody in Victoria called you and said, "Hey, Sean, what would be your top 3 recommendations for moving the project forward?"
We kind of touched on this earlier, Peter. I think if they can focus on bringing the revenue in to support that spending, I think that's what they're trying to do now. I think that will work out really well for them. It is not an easy goal to keep your environmental regulations, include First Nations consultation, free prior informed consent on projects, and keep things moving along at a pace that projects need to. I wish them all the best. Growing the economy and getting out of that deficit, raising our credit rating so that when we do have to borrow, it's not as expensive, because when that credit rating goes down, you go to borrow, it's more expensive to borrow that money. So really, it's about using the debit card instead of the credit card, Peter.
What's the one thing you'd want every listener to understand about this issue today?
Well, I'm going to speak to the constituent city of Parksville and the constituents of the regional district of Nanaimo, as well as everyone north of the Malahat. The RDN and the hospital board are going above and beyond, both raising our share of the financing that the province is asking for. And I think we're going above and beyond, Peter, on advocating for our taxpayers to continue to gain traction on these essential healthcare projects that all of the constituents know we need desperately. All you have to do is visit NRGH and you'll see. My wife works at Oceanside Healthcare Center in Parksville, and they see people who go to check in at the ER in Nanaimo, and they see the wait time, and they're from Nanaimo, but they come up to Parksville to get a little bit better wait time in Parksville. So we are seeing overflow from that hospital, and we just want to see it get the facilities that it's designated for as it is.
Thanks to Sean Wood for being a part of the Pulse Community Podcast. I couldn't help but notice on Sean's Instagram page the pictures of freshly baked bread. Oh, it looks really good. Now that's all I can think about. Well, I'm thinking about 2 things: freshly baked bread and working to bring my attention back to the present.
Well, Dave, this is the time we usually go to see Mabel in the cafeteria. So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that right now would be a good time for some freshly baked bread.
Would a day-old dinner roll do?
Yeah, close enough. Let's go.
Here come Peter, here comes Dave. Oh, listen. Bringing stories, making waves. No missing. Spinning